Got kind of a different video today. I have no idea if you guys are going to be interested in this or not, but I'm going to be talking about what makes females attractive and answering a question that a female asked me about what makes women attractive. I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man in modern society today. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to build a physique that you want, how to get women, how to deal with women in relationships, and how to be successful as a man in general. So, gals, I guess, let's talk about this. I got this question here. What can women do to be more attractive? She said, I'm sorry for the delayed answer, but it kind of hurts to talk about the subject, especially as we females know that it's extremely important to score high on these subjects. But are there things we can do, like long hair, being slim, etc., to better the possibilities of attracting a mate, universal features that almost all guys like? Let's be honest here, right? In talking about this subject, right? There's some debate as to whether or not a man that is not good looking, right? Or if looks matter so much, if looks are the most important thing for men when it comes to attracting women. Okay, there's some debate on that. I am on the side of saying that, that looks obviously matter, but they're not the most important thing. That a guy being confident, a guy's status, status is the most important thing, I think, for male attractiveness. But that when women evaluate the attractiveness of a guy in their mind, it's a combination of things, right? And they may actually perceive him as physically attractive simply because of the way that he carries himself, how he talks, how he walks, the perception of him, all of these other factors that create that feeling of attraction or not. When it comes to the other side of it, okay, I have to be honest with you girls, like I don't want to I don't want to upset you, but I have to tell you that the truth of the matter is that guys mostly evaluate on the physical. They mostly evaluate whether they're sexually attracted to a woman, and that's how they evaluate the attraction. You can see the difference that men are definitely more visual, that they like pornography more so, and that they would rather look at naked women. Not to say that women don't like to look at naked guys. Of course, that's the case as well, but more so inclined. We would say that men in general are more so inclined to look at women's bodies, to be looking at the aesthetic. Whereas women, if you look at all the romance novels and even just the kind of erotic movies and whatnot that women like, it follows a different pattern, right? There's the thing that really seems to turn on a woman is different than what turns on a man so much, right? A visual image, not to say that there's more to it, but I'm just saying, like, in general, is more to turn on a man than it does a woman so much. Whereas, hearing, thinking about like the story, the idea, right? The description of something like where it could actually be a novel or something that is like erotic fiction is going to be something that is more of a turn on to a woman, right? So that's kind of at the basic level, right? So as a woman, what can you do to be more attractive to men? One of the main things is to improve your physical appearance, right? So getting in shape, right? It's the same thing, I would tell a guy is to get in shape, but fortunately for women, it's actually a little bit easier, right? You just kind of have to not be fat, right? Not be super overweight, right? If you just have a little bit of an athletic build, if you have worked on yourself a little bit, you're probably going to look good, right? You've got some assets, if you've got the right assets in the right place, the right fat distributions, that's going to help you out. Whereas a guy has to hit the gym. Like for a guy to build a really impressive physique, it's going to take a lot of work. For a woman to do that, it doesn't take as much work. So that's kind of a good thing, right? To know that. Now, being super skinny, that's not necessarily the most attractive trait. Some guys like much more curvy. Some guys like really, really skinny. I think the media image of being super skinny being the most attractive is false. I don't even like that at all. Honestly, I prefer a little bit more of curves, and I think a lot of guys actually do, to within reason, right? Not obviously not being overweight, or super overweight is not very attractive. In general, guys are going to want women who are feminine, right? Who look feminine and who act feminine. If we just talk about appearance, right? Long hair is better than shorter hair, almost universally. I can guarantee you that. At least I can tell you from my own experience. I am not attracted to women generally that have short hair. I don't like it. I don't see it as feminine, right? obviously you can do a lot with makeup, right? And unfortunately, that's something that that kind of sucks. Is that it's amazing what you can do with makeup to make yourself look a lot better than you would, and it's become something that you have to maintain that image. I would encourage you to use makeup, but not use so much that you so transform your appearance that you're now going to have to do that all the time, right? It should enhance your looks, okay? But if it completely changes your looks, and you could go from, not being very attractive at all to being extremely attractive just by makeup, it may work, but it's not a great idea, because now you're going to have to maintain that. Whereas if you have some natural beauty and you use the makeup to enhance it, then when you don't have the makeup, it's still going to come out. It's still going to become visible, and a guy is still going to be attracted to you. Whereas if you're a completely different looking person, it's just not a good idea. Fashion can make a huge difference just in the styling and the way that you dress, right? And not being too ridiculously provocative in dress. Not, that's going to turn some guys away, because they're going to be intimidated. I think a lot of guys that if they see a woman in a short halter top and short skirt and high heels, in a natural setting, they're going to be really intimidated. They're going to think that this girl is too high above them, and they're not going to approach her, right? So let's talk about, in general, like just being attractive in general. I'm trying to, look at the question here. She said, but what are the things we can do, like long hair, being slim, etc., to make better the possibilities of attracting a mate? So unfortunately, one of the things that you can do that you can't really do is to be aggressive, right? So what I mean by that is that in order to attract the higher quality men in your life, you're going to have to be somewhat submissive, right? You're going to have to not be aggressive. So that means that you can't be going up and talking to guys and starting the conversation. You're going to need them to come to you, right? Now, you can do that, and you're probably going to get guys that are interested in you if you go and talk to them, but they're typically going to be of lower quality. Like guys that have options that can get lots of girls, they're going to be a little bit turned off by a girl being too aggressive and coming up and talking to them. It's not necessarily that they're not going to be attracted to you, and they may even want to sleep with you, but they're not going to view you as someone who's valuable long term, because you're lowering your value. They want to be able to chase after you. They want, to be the aggressors. Like a dominant male is going to feel like he needs to be in the position of being the aggressor. He is not going to feel comfortable in the position of the woman being the aggressor and coming after him. Okay, it's not going to be an attractive trait. So what can you do to get guys to actually come after you? Well, a lot of it is just understanding the psychology, right? If you understand that a majority of men are not going to go and talk to women, and they're going to be afraid to, again, maybe you're not interested in those guys. They're not going to be very as dominant of men. But a lot of it is creating that open invitation, right? A lot of it is the eye contact. If you're looking at a guy and making eye contact with him, kind of giving him the signal that it's okay to approach. A lot of guys that might be timid and might be afraid to approach, they might approach in that situation where you've already given him eye contact and you smiled at him, right? And he knows that it's probably safe to approach. So that's one thing that you can do. You can make yourself seem, in an approachable position. If you are with a group of friends and you're kind of like in the back and you've got girls around you, it's going to make it much more intimidating. If you're kind of standing off to the side, like at the bar, and you've got some distance between your friends, you could still be having a conversation, but it's pretty clear that there's a clear path to approach you. I think you're going to have much more chance of a guy approaching you, right? It's difficult because you can't control the factor of guys having courage. All right, that's my job. I'm teaching guys on this channel to have courage to approach you more, but that is the difficulty. Definitely, in general, improving your appearance, looking as best as you can, looking feminine, wearing a dress, right? Things like that. Those are going to trigger that response in the guys that you want to meet, right? The more dominant, the more masculine men are going to be attracted by more feminine women. So if you look at kind of, the stereotype I use is the Southern girl from Georgia, right? The Southern girl kind of charm where, being kind of naive and innocent and submissive and just being that kind of, having that kind of charm, the Southern girl charm, I guess you could call it. Maybe it's not like naive, but maybe there's some mix of it. That kind of creates that sense of charm. That is very feminine, right? A lot of guys, especially very masculine guys, are going to be attracted to that kind of a woman. A lot of women are, say, okay, well, guys are afraid of successful women and they're threatened by successful women and all of this. And I think that's an excuse, because what they're threatened by is the way that you're acting, okay? The way that you're interacting with men, that you're trying to compete with them, right? It's okay to be successful as a woman. You should be as successful as you can be, but a man needs to feel like he is the man, right? And that's one of the things, like around you, he needs to know that he's the man. He needs to feel like you depend on him for something, that he has some kind of value. And that whole idea of being threatened doesn't necessarily come from your position or how much money you're making, but from the idea that the way that you're carrying yourself, the way that you're talking, the way that you're acting is making it a threat to him. It's really hard, because on one hand, I could give you advice to attract men that are of lower quality, and you could do that. You could be aggressive. You could go and start talking to them, make their job easier by showing your interest in them very explicitly, and you will attract those guys by doing that. Okay, you can mask anything that would threaten them, and you can walk them through the steps and help them out. And I could tell you 100 ways you could help them out that would make it easy for you. But you're going to attract low quality men if you do that. These are going to be the beta men that you're not going to find very physically or sexually attractive, okay? Because they're not really men, okay? These are the guys that are learning to become men, or are hopeless that they're never going to. I think most women want that top 10 tier of men, the top 10%, the top 5% even. And in order to do that, you've got to be in the top tier as far as being a woman, right? Which means that you're going to have to bring your looks up to that level if you can, okay? And you're going to have to act very, very feminine, right? A woman who's acting very feminine will be chosen over a man or over a woman that is very good looking, in the case where she can demonstrate that femininity, and she's at least passes some kind of threshold, right? Some of the things that are very attractive is being somewhat emotional, right? Is allowing yourself to be very vulnerable and to be weak in front of a man, right? A man being weak in front of a woman, not so good, but a woman being weak in front of a man, showing that kind of vulnerability is very attractive. Wanting to take care of a man, treating him like a king, telling him he's a king, right? Basically boosting him up to make him realize why he's such a good man. Like reinforcing his manhood is something that is going to make a man in the long term be much more attracted to you, rather than doing things like disparaging him, like criticizing him. All of those things are going to make him very unattracted to you. Those are things that initially you don't have to worry about, but in a relationship, as you meet a man, if you go out on dates, like telling him that, making him feel like the king, making him feel like he's got power, like you respect his power, like those type of things are going to make him more attracted to you in general, right? Those are the things that are going to appeal to a man. I'm coming from the perspective of mostly teaching guys how to be attractive to women, not the other way around, but I can just kind of tell you from my experience. I welcome comments on this. It'd be nice to get some advice from an actual woman who has had a lot of success in this area attracting men. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.